this might be the very first time as you're listening to God Earth that you're actually starting to go, wait a minute, everything that he's saying is what I experienced.
So in this sense, when we talk about trauma, we're talking about the conditions under which parents have to function these days. If I was functioning in a laboratory, trying to grow microorganisms, the word is called culturing. If in that laboratory culture, a lot of those microorganisms began to develop pathologies or die off, you have to say this is a toxic culture. Well, it's the same thing with human beings. So rather than look at the source of people's problems strictly within themselves, we have to actually look at the conditions. For any creature in the world, whether it's a plant or animal, you have to look at the conditions under which people are living and raising kids and trying to function.
And this might be the very first time as you're listening to God Earth that you're actually starting to go, wait a minute, everything that he's saying is what I experienced.
Yeah.
Or at least pieces of it. I've never considered that this could be trauma.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it as a psychological wound, but I think it'd be really helpful if you also explained how does this create either programming or conditioning in your body that starts to define who you become as an adult and create behaviors that you never intended.
So that happens on both the physiological and the psychological level.
Okay.
On the physiological level, trauma incites inflammation in the body. So people who are severely traumatized in childhood, you can measure the level of inflammatory particles in their bloodstream. They'll be abnormally high, which makes them more at risk for cancer, more at risk for autoimmune disease, more at risk for depression, mental health problems, and so on. That's just a physiological fact. Trauma can affect the way genes are turned on and off, but genes are turned on and off by the environment, so the wrong genes can be turned on and the right genes can be turned off by trauma. Then trauma can dysregulate the body's stress mechanism, so people are secreting more cortisol and adrenaline. These are the stress hormones, which in the short term are life-saving, because if I was threatened or if you were, we would generate cortisol and adrenaline from an adrenal gland, and we would be stronger and faster and better able to counter the threat, either to escape or to fight back. But in the long term, those same stress hormones thin the bones, create more clotting in the blood, narrow the blood vessels, elevate the high blood pressure, elevate the blood pressure, you get hypertension, suppress the immune system, put fat on your belly, creating higher risk for heart disease, makes you depressed, ulcerate your intestines. These are the stress hormones.
Wow.
So there's all that. On the physiological side,